The main drag in Chase, British Columbia is that of any small town. Used bookstore, post office, Chinese food, bicycle repair shop. Sunflower Bicycle Repair is owned and operated by a dude named Paul. Paul is a cool guy. I was walking by one day and popped in to see what was going on. The shop was closed, but Paul greeted me at the door. Shirtless and shoeless, he came bounding down the stairs to say hello. We got to talking, and I mentioned that I was looking to record some podcasts with the locals. Later on, we sat down in the courtyard across from his shop. We had a talk and drank iced Americanos with honey. There's a bit of music in the background that was playing from the cafe. I hope this isn't too bothersome. Enjoy. Looking good to me. All right, she's going.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I'm here with Paul from Sunflower Repair?
Bicycle repair.
Bicycle repair.
Yeah.
Okay. Not just anything. Bicycles
Not
in
just
particular.
anything.
Right on.
Don't want to open that up.
No. Yeah, so basically what I'm looking to get out of this is I just want to have a conversation, maybe a little bit about Chase. The other day when we spoke, you mentioned to me that you and your partner biked out here from Calgary.
Heck yeah.
So I wanted to dig into that.
Cool. That was like a big part of our story for a long time.
I could imagine, yeah.
You know, until we actually felt like our roots were landing in Chase. But yeah, that story very much became our, who we were for such a long time. This is who we are, now we're here. Smiley face, smiley face.
So what prompted that? Are you from Calgary originally? Or?
I was born in Calgary. Kelsey's from Vermilion. I don't know if you know it, but a lot of people from different places know it because there's an agricultural school there. So it's a little town, but it's pretty well known. But yeah, I was just dropped out of high school, worked a few jobs, whatever, normal life, working jobs. Had a pretty cool job as a courier for a few years.
Is it a bike courier?
Bike courier. Yeah, doing the downtown thing, doing the fixie thing.
Nice.
Doing the polo thing.
You get one of those hats with the beak that flaps up?
I did. Yeah, I did. And
I'm surprised you don't have the gauges in your ears.
Well, yeah, no, that was not. Yeah, there's a very intersectional scene.
Yeah.
Which I found out. And
it's a whole little culture, subculture.
Yeah, and it's pretty deep. I didn't even get that deep into it, but
yeah,
I definitely saw where it comes from.
Yeah.
It's all the stuff in the movies or it's pretty much,
yeah,
it has a thing. It's real.
My whole image of the bike courier is from that show Portlandia. You ever see that show?
Oh god, yeah.
He's just ringing his bell. Out of the way, man. Out of the way.
Oh yeah, on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Definitely doing that. Especially where I don't know, downtown used to watch. There's this one guy who would love to fuck with bylaw. And there's one street downtown, Bankers Hall. It's for pedestrian traffic during the day. Mm-hmm. And so they would I don't know, he was a bit of a punk. They'd tackle him off his bike.
Oh yeah.
Because he would just taunt the shit out of them. But anyway.
We stopped into Calgary on our way out here, and I had only been there once before, and my most vivid memory was of Tubby Dog.
Oh yeah.
So we went to Tubby
Cool.
Dog. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to do. I think I only went a couple times, but there was was it the midnight rides? Do a midnight, a full moon ride.
Okay.
Stop by Tubby Dog.
Nice.
Hit the pathway. Hang out in the park. Calgary's got. I do miss Calgary. There's the pathways in Calgary are so great because they're all along the river, and you can ride all day, back and forth.
Would you say it's a bike-friendly city?
It's totally more so. It's becoming more so. I think more bike infrastructure. It makes it friendlier towards cyclists actually using the same highways, but. Takes a lot for everyone else to get used to.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Holy.
Yeah.
I just kind of left Calgary as all the downtown bike lanes were getting put in.
Okay.
So I sort of I want to write and find out how everything's going. But
yeah. So you and your girlfriend decided on a whim to come out here on your bikes, or was it a long...
We moved in 2009 winter together, and I was getting to the point where, my job duration is coming up, and even though this was a beautiful job, I couldn't really see myself maybe doing it for 10, 20 more years. And Calgary, I just kind of wanted to get away from Calgary. I wanted to find, I don't know, just like, what am I doing here? I wanted growing food. I like gardening. Gardening was always passion. I grew up, working in the yard with my mom. And so this thing about growing my own food was kind of there. And Kelsey was going to be au pairing the next spring. And that fell through, and she knew some people that had done some woofing, and so we signed up for a woof membership and decided that was going to be our method of, organizing that next summer. So we packed up our apartment and found a basement to put all our stuff in and got our bikes ready for a trip. For a trip out west.
So did you put a lot of stuff in storage, or you kind of minimal already and had
Tons.
everything?
I mean, yeah, we had a whole basement suite worth of stuff stuffed into one basement bedroom of our friend's place, which took us 2 years to eventually get that stuff out of there, having to go back and deal with it and bring stuff home. Yeah, it took quite a while. We didn't realize, I don't know what we thought. I thought maybe we'd end up in Calgary. We were just aiming for the coast.
Okay.
We thought we'd hit some farms, try out Vancouver or the islands, and we never made it that far. A few stops in, Chase was like the wall, or the vortex, I guess. And
like, why did you end up staying? Was it just because you like the people and the farm, or was it...
Everything just kept going our way. Like,
okay.
People were good, the work was good, the lifestyle was good. I mean, they invited us to stay in the winter, like in the fall after 2 weeks, turned into 2 months, and then it was like, well, we want to get this house finished. We were building a straw bale house when we showed up on the farm.
Oh, cool.
No, they had it started, so we became part of that project, as well as the farming. It was all so sweet. And then, okay, end of the year, you got all kinds of work cut out for you next year. So, this is cool? We can just stay? Yeah, sure. So
nice.
We stayed and renovated the house and just kept doing it.
So just going back to
got along pretty good.
Going back to like leaving Calgary, like when I was driving out here, you see people cycling through the Rockies and stuff, or like I saw some people walking, and you see hitchhikers, and it's just like, holy shit, man! Like that's a hell of a journey, especially through those mountains. I can't imagine what it would be like on a bike. So what's going through your mind like the first day you're leaving Calgary?
Well, the first day. It shows you how big Calgary is. You're just trying to get out of the city.
Oh, yeah, I guess, right?
Where's the last gas station? Oh, there's not even a proper... What were we looking for? I don't know. Just a coffee shop. It took us like half the day just to get away from the city, and then maybe the rest of the next day to get it out of sight. Like, it just took us so long to actually start leaving. I probably had flat tire... Oh, adjustments, like just getting the rack adjusted because it was coming loose, and we're so loaded up. I carried way too much stuff with me.
Did you have like a little trailer, or is it just...
No, but I built some leather panniers, and I like quadrupled the motorcycle bike pattern.
Oh, okay.
So they were massive. Like I think they were 30 or 40 cube per side. And I had no idea actually how to pack up a bike.
Did you do any test runs, or was...
Not really. It's like, it fits. Great. I finished my panties like 2 days before we left. So it was just a matter of like getting them, figuring out what I wanted to bring. Too many books. But it was a nice feeling to be riding away from the city on a bicycle into the wind.
I chose you both for a latte because I have latte on the brain.
Latte on the brain.
You're I overcharged.
Woo.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. I'll make it a refill.
Small town kindness.
Yeah. And just realizing how windy it was out on the prairie.
So you're leaving Calgary, and are you going towards the mountains? Like you can see
we're
the mountains?
we're headed right on the number 1 out towards the mountains, and always loved the drive into the mountains. It just took an extra day, day longer than it usually does, but it was really the approach is fun because it gets flat in Morley, and the mountains get taller, so the contrast is like flat and jagged. And I didn't realize that's the last time I was going to see the mountains. Like from Calgary, you see the mountains every single day, every day. And now you're in BC, like these are mountains. Not really. Like I've seen the Rocky Mountains. Now I'm just like interior hills here. The highways, there's lots of shoulder. And even the pass I thought was a lot easier than I expected.
Like going through those...
like Rogers Pass, I just figured it'd be a hell of a climb and a hell of a descent. And it was a bit of a climb, but not even... I found some of the straightaways more brutal because they'd be like maybe a 1% grade or something.
Okay.
And it just feels like 20K of straight, not flat, but not easy to ride either. Just like...
torturous.
This sucks. Like hills, it's... You're mentally prepared. You think big hill, calibrate, okay, go, and then you go.
Yeah.
Flats are deceiving, so it's just like I'm constantly thinking it should be easier than this.
I always am struck by how obvious inclines are when you're on a self-propelled vehicle of some kind, whether it's a skateboard or a bike. Like all of a sudden, a hill that you drove over 100 times in a car becomes like, oh shit.
And a hill you're usually trying to pass some slow truck on, so you're giving it. You're just like, we'll get up there.
Yeah.
No, it's very steady.
So were you guys camping?
Very slow and steady. Yeah, we were camping on the roadsides. So the first night we camped in Morley. I got my little storyline crooked. So yeah, we headed out into the mountains to Morley and realized we should have been quite a bit further north. I don't remember the highway, but do you know where Sundre is?
Not really.
It's like the next highway into the mountains, but it's like 100 clicks. No, it's probably only 50 clicks north.
So it's like
we had to backtrack on a different highway to kind of cut up to get to where we needed to be. Right. So that was about a day detour.
Why were you heading up that way, as opposed to just taking the
Well, we thought we were going to Banff National Park, which we sort of were, but we were going to the very, very northern tip of Banff National Park, which the only access from Banff is by horse or helicopter, unless you go west from Sundre, which there's a lot of hunting that goes on out there, and there's actually a big horse ranch called Yahatinda, where apparently like the RCMP get all their horses from.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, there was a bunch of wild horses out there, and there still are, which are amazing, by the way. Have you ever seen a pack of wild horses running?
No, I've seen some like grazing in a field, but not that majestic like herd that you see in movies.
That's just it, majestic, different quality, different.
Yeah.
They don't run the same. It's like, shit, just awe-inspiring.
I can imagine, yeah.
But we only saw one pack of those, and there's like 3 or 4. It was like, that's them! That's it! So we rode out. We got this paper map that we drew, and we're looking for this gate post in the middle of what I don't know yet. Old gate posts lead to this wagon trail, and then we're on this wagon trail for about 50 clicks. But the wagon trail is a rut. 2 ruts.
Yeah.
And my panties are dragging on the wagon trail until we get like into the mountains, because it's just cut into the grassland until it meets up with the fire. I think there was an old fire access road that was deactivated. So on my road bike first week, just like pounding my bike through this pretty awesome trail, really. But got to this ranch. It was all hand built out of logs and cabins on wagons. Everything was brought out by horse.
So that was the RCMP spot for the horses?
No, we rode through there.
Oh, okay.
That was the prairie portion of the wagon trail.
Okay.
Before it cuts into the mountain, and then you're just hoping you're on the right road and not going to run into grizzly bears, because there's signs, of course, on the edge, like grizzly bears, and guys are out there in their grizzly tents, like they're camping. Actually, on the way out, we camped next to some bear hunters, but we were trapped. Like, it started snowing. This is late May. We were actually stuck in the campsite for 2.5 days. We were buried in snow. So I went from no snow to like a foot of snow. I think it all melted, within the next few days, but...
Was that just because you were going into higher elevation?
Might have been.
Late May.
Yeah, thinking about it. I mean, it's Alberta. Like, Calgary, you always expect a little bit of... Still, you're getting frost in May, and...
Yeah.
But yeah, it started getting really cold and windy, so 2 days of that.
In a tent?
In a tent. It's the two-man. If it wasn't for our little candles, lanterns... We probably would have had to camp. Well, there's a general store there. I'm sure they would have let us whimpering dogs in to, like, whatever.
Give you some pity.
Yeah, give me some pity. But...
So how long total were you going through the mountains? From the time you entered to the time you left, like how long? Because I'd imagine that was the most arduous part of the whole journey.
That part of it probably was. And it was the very beginning of it, so...
Yeah.
There's no reference. It's just like, we're just riding our bikes now. And This is great. Couldn't be better. But after we left, so they drove us, after 3 weeks of being up at their place.
There you go.
After 3 weeks of being up at their place, they drove us into Banff. So we didn't actually have to do that. Well, it's a pretty boring section of highway anyway. It's just straight.
Yeah.
It's nice. But, so we rode out of Banff. We probably stayed in Banff for 2 days just to... We hadn't had internet for like 3 weeks and power, so we're, charging up and telling everyone, hey, we're still here and
we're still alive.
We're still alive.
Made it through bear country.
Yeah.
That always kind of puts things into perspective when you don't have electricity or internet for a little while.
No, nothing. You're out there with your bikes and I don't know, when you talk to people out there about bear bells and spray, they just laugh at your face like dinner bells and seasoning, That's like...
What do? They just try not to piss any off.
What do they do? Noise.
Just make noise.
Just noise, yeah. Which is... It's like, don't criticize the bell if it's the thing that actually works. So I'm getting all these mixed messages like, should I be ashamed of...
I think I might pick
not
up...
Not knowing anything.
Unless the bears have developed some sort of like, oh, that bell means human.
Right, well, exactly. That's what I'm thinking they're talking about. Like, I don't know.
I think as long as you're making a bit of noise. I mean, if you're two people hiking along, you're making more noise than you think you are anyways.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah, one thing I learned is they'll smell your shit instantly. I took a crap on the side of the road. I went to go get some chains that we had left on the park side of the boundary. So I went out with my bike to grab them. It's only a 10-minute bike ride probably on this rocky road. Took a crap on the way, probably half-ass buried it. On my way back, there's this mama grizzly bear snooping around because we had been hearing, so the park people come by every few days on horseback. Hey, you see anything? Yeah, we saw some whatever. Mama and her cubs, so every few days, there's like bears constantly.
Yeah.
And they just kind of hang out around the camp because it's a good spot on the river. So I see this thing, and it's huge. It's huge. After I saw the footprints, it was like the size of my head. Like the length of my head. But I just walked. What I do? I actually walked towards it while whistling a tune. Trying not to shit my pants again. Because, I don't know, I saw this thing and, like, it's probably like a History Channel thing or something. No, I just remember this kid on, like, a savanna with hyenas. And he used a piece of bark to make himself taller. Like, he put it up to his head.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking that with my bike. Like, okay, nobody wants trouble.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get just as much shit if I walk towards her as I am away. Because if I'm away, I'm just going further from where I need to be.
Yeah. She end up just run away or what?
Just wandered on the path, and I'd walk a little bit quicker, and then, yeah, I think we kind of She just ended up walking away.
Yeah.
It was a great experience. I was so scared
I can imagine.
and happy to get back.
Everyone has this idea of what they would do when confronted, like, with a wild animal, but I'd imagine it's a whole different ballgame once you're actually there. Like, probably some primordial shit
It's not
starts kicking
what
in.
would you do now, it's what am I going to do right now?
Yeah.
And this is what came. I was like, okay, let's combine these things. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Didn't see any cubs though that time.
Yeah.
Which was probably good. Like,
Yeah, that's when you gotta
they're
get
probably
worried.
out somewhere.
Any
But
other...
that was great. Anyway, first woofing experience out of the city was like unlike any other woof experience, because they probably shouldn't be on the woof thing. They're not farming. They're just... I guess there's a horse element to it. I'm not a horse person.
Yeah.
But it was great. 3 weeks without power, without internet. It was a really good break.
Yeah, for
Really
sure.
good way to start the summer. Just like
Yeah.
freshly deconnected.
Detox your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
I did woofing one time for a hostel.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a lot of people on it that squeeze in under the woofing.
B&Bs and
Yeah.
hostels and
I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, that doesn't seem to align with their like.
Did they say they have a garden?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I didn't see any garden when I got there.
All right, just a lot of pillowcases. And...
Yeah, I was like, oh, this doesn't really align with what woofing's trying to do, but I was happy that it did exist because I stayed there for like 2 months and stuff.
Great.
So it was a good time. Met a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially in the hostel. There's always rotating cast members.
Neat, yeah.
So you ended up. How many woofing spots did you hit on the way out here?
After that, we stayed in Banff until we found a place in Golden. We were supposed to be in Golden for 2 weeks. But that lady did not have her shit together. So we were kind of like scrounging for stuff to do.
Yeah.
Like digging up sod. I'm trying to get my raspberries back.
Okay.
Little did I know, that was not a job for 2 people and their shovels.
Yeah.
So we left there early because, rough situation. Shitty living quarters. It's like a dog pissy trailer.
Mhm.
Man. Yeah, it was just kind of the downward slide. They had done a bunch of woofing and like not homestay stuff, but like exchange student stuff before. Like, she had great stories from the past, but I'm like, what happened? This is so bad now. So we had to leave there, but we found a place up in Sorrento for Stellar Seeds. We worked with him for a couple of weeks, and he actually got the door open for us at Golden Ears, because Golden Ears had 20 people there doing the super woofy commune thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, you gotta take them, they're so good. Like, what do you mean? We're just out here slaving like I expect anybody else would.
Yeah.
But whatever, it worked for us, got us in there, and that's where we stayed. So
For how long?
6 years?
6
2010 till 2016. Yeah,
That's pretty
it
awesome.
was a good run.
Yeah. So what is like for someone who doesn't know what woofing is? What's woofing?
I barely know what it is. WWOOF. It's really awesome. It's like worldwide opportunities on organic farms. I did it.
You know
Yeah, and it was so easy. Room and board for work is such a simple interaction. And I mean, you can go from there. Like once you've made that deal, you kind of go anywhere. Like what we end, it's probably a lot of different things to different people too, because having had woofers at the farm, you get a lot of different people looking for a lot of different types of things, and some people's trips just sounded like shitty, bad hosts, but it's
Well, that's the thing, as you mentioned before, like there's such a variety there's not really any gold standard on woofing about how it should.
No.
Communication between the host and the worker is like the main thing they emphasize, but I've done it a couple times, and both times were drastically different.
Yeah.
Like it was, you kind of just have to guess based on the pictures and the reviews on the website what it's going to be like, right?
And I mean, going into it again, I definitely have a more scrutinizing eye but I don't know if I need to do it again.
So first, when you showed up at Golden Ears, just as an example for someone who's never done it, like how many hours a week or days a week?
Golden Ears might be a bad example. We were working, it felt like sun up to sundown on everything that there was to do. Weeding, the gardens, preserving food and building the straw bale. And we are still working out how to have a healthy work schedule. It was just so fun at the time because you're just riding on everyone's enthusiasm. It's just sheer lust. Like, go. And there's a river next door. So you could go river 5 times a day and you feel fresh every time.
Yeah.
Let's go do another 4 hours. I mean, ideally you're only working maybe 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then you can get your room and board and some time to explore.
Yeah.
But that's what we had come to do. We had come to farm. We had come to explore gardening, farming, all the things involved with that, the whole lifestyle, and just trying to figure out a more self-sufficient kind of thing.
I noticed a lot on the Woofing website, they use the word homestead or homesteading. And what does homesteading mean?
Well, to me, when I say the word homestead, I instantly have this picture in my head of like 2 older generation farmers whose kids have left and are just on the verge, like they're going to be the last ones homesteading, like keeping a home, the food needed to raise that home. You're taking care of your water, your animals, your food, and usually if you're homesteading, you've got neighbors or friends that are doing a similar thing that you can, trade and share equipment with, and time and knowledge. And
so it's generally self-sustainability, trade networks. It's not like a commercial endeavor or anything.
Yeah, it's like a commercial endeavor, but I mean, it is because it is, but not because you're trying to be. It's just you're just trying to live.
Okay.
But you're bringing, I think, your life and your commercial life and your personal life are like they're in the same room more than everything else is usually when you go to a job. Because you're managing the whole home economics and the whole farm economics and just, what would it be? It's a microcosm of something else.
Yeah.
There's like a level of organization. Oh man, like homesteaders. Yeah, it's great. It's kind of like a one-man corporation, or a two-man, like a
the ultimate idea.
By themselves.
The ultimate idea, though, hopefully, is just to be self-sufficient, right?
I guess.
Is there like a rebellion against what we're considering like mainstream society?
I think there definitely was, and I was definitely learning about self-sufficiency to see what kind of stuff I could let go of in the city sense. I mean, a lot of it public utilities takes care of now, but also being out here, I've learned a lot about just the pioneers that came out here.
Yeah.
And so I think in some ways homesteading now is probably undergoing a huge transition, ideologically maybe, where it's not so much you're pioneering just to survive and thrive, but we're like maybe a lot of people might be idealizing and going back to that in order to, kind of what I was set out to do. Just like if I could grow my own food, I could cut out this food middleman, which, by now I think we all know is using up a lot more resources than maybe has to.
Do you think the whole idea of going back to self-sufficiency is being over-romanticized? Because, I mean, you get these people...
Yes and no.
Like...
No, because if you didn't over-romanticize... I mean, I think maybe you wouldn't go for it in the same kind of way, or you wouldn't try out some of these insane ideas. Or these ideas that people think are stupid because, well, look, we have electricity and we don't need to worry about it. Let's just build another dam.
Yeah.
But yikes! Yeah, well, that has its whole other. I didn't mean to go into that, but
that's all right. You can go into anything.
Yeah.
Funny little farming story. Farming in quotes.
Yeah. Segue. No sight see.
Very. My mom has a couple. We're staying over at her house. She has a couple of peppers and like tomato plants and stuff that she's just growing on her deck, and. The reason why I thought about this was because I was over at Safety Mart at the grocery store earlier, and I just bought a couple things that I needed, and I walked outside and saw the farmer's market, and I was like, oh, shit.
Right, you didn't see it until after.
I just saw them setting it up when I went in, but it was just like, it's so ingrained that I'm at the grocery store, buy the food at the grocery store. And this leads into, I picked a couple of my mom's peppers, and I was going to wash them before I cut them up, and I looked to see where the sticker was on them.
Oh, right. Wow, yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, all those little, like, sort of automatic, unconscious things that happen. Whereas, like,
totally.
I could have just talked to the person who grew some berries or something, or maybe not berries right now, but, like, whatever, strawberries or something.
Currants today, yeah.
Yeah, currants. Yeah.
But, oh, man.
So would you,
I love that.
Given the opportunity, or I don't know if maybe you're pursuing this, I don't know, would you homestead if you could? Like, you said you were on that farm for 5 to 6 years, and then you left, and now you have your bike repair shop.
I don't, after having kind of done it for a few years, I think maybe I wouldn't actually aim for that. Just because you're leaving out so much of the human... There's so many people out there that'll never... you're only taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And like your small piece of property. And when I start walking this line, I think, well, part of me thinks it's not enough. And then there's this other line that's like, just do what you can.
Yeah.
Take care of your little piece. But if you can think far enough to think that, then surely we could do better than just that. Like if I can rationalize taking care of only myself, then I could probably come up with something better that would actually take care of more people. And I don't think homesteading is really... Because with the homesteading, it's hard to interact with, like, the city culture.
Yeah.
You kind of do it through the market or whatever. Maybe I could do it. Yeah, I guess I'm still doing bikes. It's just the scales are all... It's a different scale altogether.
Yeah. It seems to.
Like we're all gleaning off this corporate scale. We're all gleaning how cheap everything is and how easy it is to get anything you want from it. And like in homesteaders, fucking, you work your ass off for every little thing you have. And it's hard to accept that the corporate thing is... You kind of forget it's there sometimes. You just spend so much time at home or on the farm that you don't have to interact with it.
Isn't that a part of the goal, though?
It is, but if you don't interact with it, you can't affect it. Even if it's to, like, scowl at it or to
wouldn't
make a connection with somebody that's kind of stuck in it.
Yeah, I guess.
And, like, give them...
I'm just thinking
I don't know.
I'm thinking, like, the act of not interacting with it is affecting it. Because you're not,
I don't
participating.
I don't think not interacting with it is affecting it enough. But like for the energy you save not interacting it, you get to you get to pour it into something that is enough, and that you get to overflow some cup and be like, this thing, yeah. Instead of getting drained, because man, I know when I come back from Kamloops, I feel like acidified, a bit. You gotta shake off the bustle and
I like cities. I enjoy city life. Like, I enjoy like the access to like ideas and opportunities.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a buzzing world. Like, cities in general are just a collection of it's so many different ideas and opinions, and they definitely have an energy. Like, innately, they have an energy to them. But then when I come back to here, or I go for a hike or something, you realize what a buzz that has on your mind, like what an effect it has.
Absolutely. You can't tell until you go away from it.
When you're in it, it's very hard to tell.
Yeah, like when I go back to Calgary, I love it. I feel it when I drive into it. I get the radio stations popping. I'm like, yes, early morning jazz shows, just stuff that just gets my skin tingling, and it's fun to drive in and see the new changes and the new transit and whatever, like the cool things that are happening with the city.
Yeah.
Last time I went, it wears off quickly. Went for the weekend, so then I'm driving around. I'm supposed to be gone already. My battery's dying. I'm like, do I need an alternator? I'm driving around in rush hour trying to get an alternator. And that was my first moment of like, I got to get out of here. Because now I'm in it, and I'm like, doing the like stress thing. And it's just like, oh, interesting. Like, whew.
So is Chase a nice balance for you then? It's a little bit of
It's a good balance. Yeah, and it's oddly like conservative enough that it kind of feels like Calgary. There's enough like ignorant attitudes or whatever that I feel at home. And yeah, I mean I can jive with that a bit.
Yeah. Was it was working out on the farm a little too liberal for you?
In some ways, because like as I would stay, I'm learning and I'm getting older, and like you're always getting fresh out of the city 22-year-olds.
Yeah,
the
that's
same
right.
ideas as I had when I left.
Yeah,
and already at this point, I'm like, yeah, but this and this and this for me. So that then the scales kind of tip a bit the other way, where it's good. Like it feels, and it was nice to have younger people come in with. Some of the same ideas, but even other ones. Like I learned so much at the farm just through other people, through the stories and through people's life experiences, and just because I met so many different people that I would not have met if I had done my mostly antisocial thing in Calgary.
Yeah,
which is so easy for me to fall into.
Did you learn German?
No. Or French.
A lot of German.
A lot of French too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was around.
It was a close tie. Probably slightly French leaning for however many woofers we had over the years.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely like the like nuanced political ideas certain Germans have, and certain French have. Yeah. Which definitely sound like different offshoots of older anarchist ideas.
Yeah.
And then they'd meet up with other ideas that maybe you wouldn't have grouped two of these ideas together before, where someone's like embodying that, and that was really cool, I thought.
Of all the foreigners that I've met, like traveling around, it almost always seems like foreigners in general are way more politically passionate than most Canadians or North Americans, for that matter.
I would agree.
And I remember...
myself included.
Yeah, same for me. I remember some friction early on because I said something like, I think there was a vote happening or something. I was like, I don't... Like, I'm not going to bother, like something like that.
Yeah.
And then whoever it was, just went right off the rails for not voting. And he's like, there's people in the world dying for the right to vote. You should vote and all this stuff. And then me just being ignorant and just like, oh yeah, I guess I never really thought about it, Like, but then you're meeting people from these worlds where they haven't been able to vote, or there's been extreme conflict their entire lives. Right, and they're checking
you on your privilege.
Yeah. That was
must be nice to say, fuck it.
Well, that was a nice learning experience from meeting new people.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
Like, don't be so ignorant anymore.
Yeah. Funny you should say that. That's one thing that I definitely have changed my mind on, voting. Because at least if you're going to interact with the political system, you might as well take the one paper chance you get, because there's millions of chances every day. You could be writing these people and blah 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 blah. But if you're just going to do the one thing, it kind of feels like when your hockey team is in the playoffs. Like when I'm going to be in Calgary, like I didn't watch hockey. I could care less. But if they're in playoffs, I'm on. Like get into that thing. Like it's kind of similar with the voting. You start talking politics more, and just like it's kind of fun to have those discussions because I don't know.
Yeah.
You can get a little adversarial and
you
know.
For sure. Yeah, I usually steer clear of any.
But I'll definitely vote now. I'm definitely voting now
Yeah.
out of principle. Just I'm voting.
Yeah, exactly.
And whether it's for somebody or against somebody, whatever, I'm gonna put my name in the box and at least do that.
I wanted to ask you about this. Like when I was still woofing, when I still had my membership, and was like perusing the farms and stuff online, I came across one time, and it was about I think it was in the interior of BC somewhere, and all the reviews were fairly negative because it seemed like kind of cultish. Like there was some weird communal culty thing going on
like,
there.
yeah.
They're like, oh, this like
12 tribes or?
Dude, I don't remember. It was a while ago, but I remember thinking like, yeah, I could see that. Like, especially in BC, right? You know, it's like the end of the road.
There could be a pocket of
yeah
something out there.
So I wonder, have you ever experienced any sort of weird power dynamics like that in your woofing career?
No, not in the woofing. They're all. The first place was, fairly patriarchal.
Yeah.
The farmer man runs the show. The rancher man, that's his thing. No, it was pretty much everybody else. The other three were very I'd say they were definitely lefty, liberal,
Yeah. What's that 12 Tribes place you just mentioned?
12 Tribes, I've only heard of it. I think they're down near Nelson, but there might also be another one on the island. Culty, I don't know. There's definitely a religious element to it. Honestly, at this point, I don't think I could speak on. I don't know enough about it. It kind of sounds like. What do you feel what is the sound? What is 12 Tribes of Israel, right? Like, it sounds like an old
idea. It sounds like something's going on.
Never been there. Probably be cool to see what's going on. Don't know enough about it. But a friend of mine knows the Ludwigs. Do you know the Ludwigs?
I don't know about that.
So, back in, I don't know, the late 90s or something.
Is that where Luddite comes from?
No.
No?
But I wouldn't say they're Luddites. They're actually not Luddites. They're awesome at self-sufficiency. They make their own biodiesel, wine, cheese, everything. They're ready to pave the road or block the roads because they can do it all. And
where are these people?
They're up Peace Country somewhere north of Dawson Creek, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, the RCMP tried to charge Wiebo Ludwig with the Encana pipeline bombings.
Okay.
Which I believe they had no proof and never did. So Wiebo died a few years ago. But that place sounds like that's the kind of place where they're looking for new blood because they can't breed anymore without running into
inbreeding,
that whole problem of small populations. Yeah.
Are they called the Ludwigs just because that's
that's their name? No,
okay.
they're the Ludwig. The main guy was Ludwig. I think there's a couple families there, so everyone's a cousin now.
Yeah.
And they're going all over. I'm pretty sure they went to 12 Tribes probably to find some because they're all Christian. They're super Christian.
Yeah.
And the women are, wearing bonnets and homemade dresses like everybody. Oh, they're kind of I'd work at an auction in Alberta, I guess, what were they? I want to say they must have been Hutterites. I think the Hutterites would come down looking for the deals. Scround, we'd have a pallet of detergent or something, and I would just see them penny pinching with my boss guy. So he's trying to get his dollar, and they're trying to get their dollar. It's such a cool thing to see, sort of. I mean, all the younger boys would come in with their like hats, and it's just a strange.
Yeah.
I don't know, just interesting. There's something about it I admire, but also there's something weird that I'm like.
It is. I think it's just the unknown aspect, probably, right? Because I'm super interested in all that stuff.
Yeah.
I lived in Ontario for a lot of my life, so I was always seeing like Amish and Mennonites and things.
Yeah.
And always been so interested in them. And then, like you just said, there's this air almost of what's going on behind the gates or something, right? But I think it's just probably the human fear of the unknown a little bit.
That too. And I mean, you can probably assume there's some weird shit going on. Like, I don't know what kind of abuse is happening or what kind of people want to leave those communities all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't, if they can or don't. Like, I heard this interview from a woman that left the Westboro Baptist Church. You know them. They're the classic crazy gay haters and everything.
Yeah.
So when I saw that was just like a year ago.
Yeah. Vice will have something like that comes out.
I'm just like, there's got to be an element to that in every kind of group like that, but whatever.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to. I mean, if I could get an Amish person to sit down with me and do a podcast, that'd be pretty cool. But
yeah,
I don't.
You'd have to fuzz their voice or something.
Yeah.
We were definitely. I just want to say this. You mentioned Luddites, and we. Definitely idealized a Luddite approach to things for a while.
Yeah.
It's easier when you have 50 hands around to go, hey, let's do this today. Okay. 50 hands, light hands, make heat, whatever. I can't
hands.
remember. Yeah. So then and it's funny, we wouldn't break down. We would take in less and less people every year. And it's a people management thing, and then there's like a actually getting work done kind of thing, but then there's like a personal space and freedom kind of thing that in the end I think we all just wanted our spaces, and this was before we had kids. Now that we all have kids, the space thing has become really apparent to us where we used to live all in the same house. And now it's like, okay, we all like to have our own kitchens and our bathroom, and so we got to kind of do a bit of a progression for ourselves,
yeah, it's interesting
through that kind of thing.
Once you get some kids in the mix too, and then they start screaming, and I mean, you want to have your own kitchen, like you said, if you want to leave your dishes around or something. It'd be nice to be able to do that.
Or if you want to have like 10 different parenting styles.
Exactly.
You can't all just do it in the same room.
Yeah, that's the thing. That was golden ears.
Golden ears. The golden ears of golden ears.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, man, that was good. I don't want to keep you all afternoon. I know you're on your lunch there. So what's your tell me a little bit about your business if people want to hit you up for a bicycle.
Sunflower bicycle repair. Well, we're downtown Chase. I've got a pile of old bikes, 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe 2000.
Nice.
But I fix them up, refurbish them. It's not really a garage sale kind of place. I would love if people bring their garage sale bikes to me to just get topped up with love for, because I like to make an old bike new, sell it like it's basically new, give a season of a tune-up warranty kind of thing on it. Because, man, some of those old bikes, they run better than these year-old bikes from department stores. I'm working on one right now.
Yeah, I saw that.
It definitely challenges my dedication. Especially, I just go, you're doing the initial wipe down, but you're wiping off this piece of shit pressed out derailleur, and I'm like, it's just my passion just wanes a little bit because, I want to polish it and I want it to look. No, can't. Sorry, bud, can't do it. I'll give you your fenders, but you're not getting a pretty up.
So how long have you had that one going for, that shop?
Well, it started at Golden Ears. Nesky and Alona, I believe, started tearing bikes apart at the farm and kind of had this idea of, community bike shop thing going at the farm, which I'm familiar with the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we walked in there, when we got to the farm and realized there was what looked like a bike shop in the shop, I felt pretty much at home. That was a part of the story of why we stayed too, of one of those things that's just like, why wouldn't we not stay? There's a bike shop. Like, me and Kelsey used to spend all kinds of hours at the shop in Calgary, hanging out, volunteering, whatever, fixing our bikes and helping people fix their bikes. So that was such a natural thing to happen. Like, Tristan had a work stand in there, and I brought my tools, and he had tools, so we could do so much just with what we had.
Yeah.
So I kept it going, and I put an ad out to bring your bikes, give me all your junk.
Yeah.
The dump would bring me a couple bikes a week because they were on board, and so it kind of started there. They had started the parts organization and all that. Over the years, we just refined it and then got more stuff and refined it more and got more stuff. And a few years ago, I started buying new things, like found a distributor, started bringing in tires and tubes and cables and housing and like all the little stuff. So this is the first year in our new house. We moved in December, so I'm still kind of organizing stuff. But it's going to be great. It's such a cool thing for Chase.
Yeah, it is.
It makes Chase itself just like a little bit cooler, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
It's nice to have our elbow grease like on the place. And people love the sunflower. The sunflower is like a staple part of the town.
That's the little local paper.
That's the paper. Kelsey bought it 2013 or 14. And people, for the first year, it was just like, it's so good. You're doing such a good, there's so much good vibes coming towards us for that. And yeah, it's like one of the viable businesses of Chase that you like for you to just hand it off and somebody could take it and run with it. Yeah, very cool. Super lucky to have that. So that's that kept us here. Like when we left the farm, if it wasn't for the paper, we might have just know what we were doing. We just went logically. It's like, okay, we got this business. Let's find a house and do it there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we found a house big enough to do both businesses. And we're doing it there.
Yeah, you guys have a cool little corner of the town there. As soon as you come in, you see the bikes and stuff. It looks cool.
It's the best location we could have imagined.
Right on the main part of town.
It's in this old house built by the lumber company back for the doctor in 1910. I think the hospital burned down a few years after that, so he was using the house as the like maternity ward.
Oh wow!
For I don't know how long. So there's some super cool history to the house. I feel super lucky to be living in like what I feel like is like the oldest mansion in town.
Yeah. Those old houses have such an energy to them, right?
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah. So this whole piece up here is like I think this is like more or less the original town site. Okay. Like up on here.
I went into the museum the other day and looked at that. Went into that cabin and stuff they have there.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty
cool. I have not been in there.
Dude, you should check it out.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really old school. I think the cabin used to be in Turtle Valley.
Yeah.
And they moved it over.
I think that's right.
I'm not sure why that one specifically is there or the initial story associated with it. I was just kind of skimming the plaques when I was in there. Really, really cool. It's
probably because they could.
Yeah.
Like, for all the cabins you see out there built like that, there's not much left of them.
No, and that one's like...
So that's super cool. It took some balls to get that thing apart, and way to go. That's super cool.
All right, my man. That's an hour we got done right there.
Fun.
Thank you so much.
Fun. Yeah, my pleasure.
Enjoyed it.
This is relatively painless.
Go to the Sunflower Bike Repair.
Thank you.
Get your brakes tightened. Get your cogs greased.
Get your bearings greased. Yeah.
Get your bearings greased.
Do it.
You could tell I'm a bike guy. Get your cogs greased.
Yeah. Oil, sure. It's all the same.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Paul. If you're ever making the drive through the interior of British Columbia and you need to repair your bicycle, be sure to stop in and say hello for me.